welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by NetCertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. NetCertive talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
Hello, and welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Erin Martin, and this episode's brought to you by NetCertive. Today, our guest is Ashley Mitchell, the CMO of Zorability, the VP of Marketing for East Coast Wings and Grill, and the VP of Marketing for Sammy's Sliders. Ashley, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Always fun to chat.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people in the space who already know your face or name. You've been in the industry a long time, but just to kick it off, can you give our listeners a little bit of background on you and then your current roles at everything I just listed off?
Yeah, of course. So I've spent my whole career in marketing communications roles. I started in franchising when I fell into it, as most people do, and I think it was 2014 after a 6 or 7 year stint with the Walt Disney Company. So my franchise experience really expands consumer marketing, franchise development, mergers and acquisitions, both being acquired and to be the one doing the acquiring. I was a fractional CMO for a handful of brands in a variety of different industries for a period of time, including youth enrichment, beauty concepts, QSR, B2B, B2C. And then currently I lead all things marketing for all of the brands that you just mentioned. Zorability, which is a coaching and investment firm for emerging brands who either just started franchising or want to start franchising and need help on that side. And then the VP of Marketing for East Coast Wings and Grill, which is a regional lifestyle casual dine brand based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, celebrating our 30th anniversary this year of the brand as a whole. And then also the VP of Marketing for Sammy's Sliders, which is a fast casual concept that we just started franchising, that we launched about a year ago and are just in the process of franchising it now.
That's amazing. I love it. And one thing I know that we've talked about before is a lot of data that you bring to the party, operational side of things. So I think just to kick it off, can you share some of the initiatives that for some of the brands or whatever's top of mind for you that you're focused on right now?
Yeah, so data is huge in our company. We actually have the phrase driven by unit level economics trademarked. That's how much data is important to our company. And so we have a unit level economics team and department, which is great for me because for me personally, I love the story that the data tells and being able to make decisions based on the data. But I don't want to be the one to get the data and analyze the data and figure out what the data is telling me. So having that team is great because I can say, I want to know about this. So that then they can go and do all of the analysis because they're amazing at that and come back and say, okay, based on that, here's what we have. So one thing that we're looking at right now is really same store sales. Obviously, it's a weird time in casual dine right now. We've all seen probably a lot of different companies that have gone bankrupt and done different things and all of that. We are luckily not in that situation, and we have an amazing net operating income right now for our franchisees. We're actually super excited. If it sticks with this till the end of the year, putting that number in our FDD next year is going to be pretty awesome. So that's really what we're focused on, is like our NOI is really high still. There's also obviously some stores that still need to increase traffic. So what are we doing to make sure that traffic increases and then they keep those high profit margins?
Yeah, and I want to get into how you guys are actually doing that tactically. But before that, one thing, I love that you just trademarked that saying, and that's really putting your money where your mouth is. Like, it's one thing to be, as a leader, exuding what you're living, the values you're living, but that literally takes it one step further, which I absolutely love. And you're also living a marketer's dream, having a team that you can go to for that type of thing. So I'm curious, how was that set up? I know you stepped into the role with that team in place, but was it always there? Was it a conscious effort to build a team? Like, how did that play out?
Yeah, it was a conscious effort to build the team. And there are some other companies that have it now as well, but from what I am told, we were one of the first, and it really was based on, so our CEO and founder, Sam Ballas, he has a finance background. So he was a Wall Street guy before he got into franchising. So The numbers side of it is something, and the data is like his baby. That's what he loves. And so he knew that in order for the company to be profitable, the franchisees needed to be profitable, and that their profitability is first and foremost, because if they're not making money, one, we're not going to make money, and two, the brand is not going to have a good reputation. It's not going to validate all of those things. So he consciously put that into place, knowing that we needed to know on a daily basis what is the health of all of these businesses, and how can we make sure that we're not just looking at one number of what comes to us. It's what's happening inside the four walls of each of those businesses, so that our team can then go out and be super strategic and tactical with those ones that maybe aren't hitting the mark, or if there's those ones that are in the middle, how do we get them to that top 20% and what that looks like. So we get a report every single day. We get lots of reports, but one that we get every morning is, here's where every location is at, where their sales were yesterday. How does that compare to their sales last month? How does that compare to their sales last year? And then what does that look like as a brand overall? Who is declining the most? Who's increasing the most? And then what are the reasons behind that? So we can go in and kind of block and tackle and figure out how to get them where we want them to be.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so what does that look like for you guys today in terms of what's working to drive success while you see some other people struggling?
Honestly, the biggest thing is like getting back to basics. Those people that are going out and from a marketing standpoint, that are going out and going into the community and doing all of those things that we tell them to do. Here's your local marketing playbook. Those are the ones that are the most successful. It's not rocket science. It's go out and be a part of the community. We are a community-driven brand. So getting out there and doing those things, those are the ones that are the most successful. Of course, that's layered with other stuff. We have digital marketing going on. We have social media that we're managing on our side. Like all of that kind of stuff is part of that puzzle. But to get people in, the people that are the most successful are the ones that are in their community, and then also that are delivering that experience in-house when somebody comes in. At the end of the day, it's all about the experience. Yes, we're a restaurant. We have quality food. That's all true. But we're not selling wings. We're not selling burgers. We're selling an experience that just happens to come with a delicious burger.
Yeah. And I'm curious from the data side then, how are you tracking a lot of that grassroots marketing and ensuring that they're doing what you want them to do when, you're looking at reports and data, but it's an in-person thing that they're focused on?
Yes, we have a couple different things. So we, one, have a local marketing manager that she's talking to them and she's visiting them. And so she can see what they're actually doing and have that more tangible outside of just the numbers. Like you have to, the context behind it. So we have, her role is crucial to make sure that we understand like the why and the specifics behind it, alongside with our operations team that's in there even more frequently than she is. And then we also have like a scorecard that we have our director of ULE does every month, where he gives them, it's 4 different columns, I think, and one of them is marketing. And there's different things that we're tracking on that based on what does their online presence look like, what do their NPS scores look like, all of that kind of stuff that we can actually put a number to when it comes to marketing, and we give them a grade of where they're at based on all of those numbers.
Yeah, I love that. That was a big conversation at the last franchise conference we were at too, was how to use AI to gather all of the data points to create those local marketing playbooks and scorecards so that coaches could easily grab, okay, for this location, like where are they and where do they need to go? Mm-hmm. And then also potentially just provide that via a dashboard or resource so everyone's looking at the same thing. There's very clear next steps, because I think that's one thing so many people struggle with is, okay, you have a ton of data in a story, but how do you turn it into an actionable framework? And so we're hearing a lot of like how AI can help play with that translation layer to make it actionable. So I'm curious if you guys, like, how are you thinking about AI right now and how it plays into things?
Yeah, it changes every day and it plays into everything.
Literally every day.
So much. I will say though, I became a web designer yesterday.
Oh,
I'm actually proud of myself. We're launching a new enhanced menu for Sammy Sliders on September 10th. And I wanted to create like a countdown clock on the website. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But I was able to use ChatGPT and tell it like, here's the back end of our website, how it's built. What do I need to do? This is what I want it to look like. I want it to be dynamic. I want it to do this. I want it to do that. It took me a couple hours because I had to go back and forth and like tweak things where I wanted to tweak them. But I ended up coding our entire website page to make a countdown clock, and I'm pretty impressed with myself.
Boom. Yeah, it can unlock so many different skill sets that you never thought were possible. And I think one thing that we've been doing too is as we refine and try to get really better at our prompting, we'll save the prompts that end up working really well to get the outcomes that we want. Like oftentimes we'll have a team member who will like refine, no, tweak it this way, use more human words, have it in the voice of Aaron Martin, the VP, who's really focused on XYZ, all those little details. And literally we have a library of prompts that we can pull from and then just tweak a little bit. But at the end of the day, those actual prompts are like 2 pages long because it's so much context and detail that we want to get the right output on. So there is like those pieces of going back and forth when you're trying to find that new skill of, okay, you gotta put that input in correctly.
Understand if it's, what it's when you garbage in, garbage out. So
Yeah.
that's the whole thing behind it. And making sure that your team knows that. That's something that we're super cognizant of is we don't give people access to any AI tools until we have a meeting with them and train them on how you're going to use it, how you're not going to use it, all that, so that they're not just coming back and saying, oh, here's this report that I did. And it's clearly they just put some random thing into an AI platform and got something back that's got emojis everywhere and all this stuff and uses words that we don't use. And I'm like, okay, you didn't even read this. So no. So like we are very strict about that, making sure that you're using it to help you. Like we can't not use it. If you're not using it, you're going to end up being behind because to your point, you have to learn how to write the prompts, how to talk to it, like all of that kind of stuff. We want everybody to use it, but we want them to use it in a smart way.
Yeah. And so what does that policy look like for you guys? Do you have an actual written policy and then you train people on it? Like how do you roll out and manage that piece?
Yeah, we do have a written policy for internal, and then they have to sign and agree to that and then get training before, like I hold the keys to our AI accounts. So until whoever their direct report is gives them that and gives the blessing, then they're like, okay, you can add them to XYZ platform. We also did a AI training with our franchisees at our conference last year. And it was intentional because we know some of them are using it. We can't make certain mandates, obviously. So like we do have policy of not putting proprietary info. You should have a paid account, all of that kind of stuff. But it gets a little bit scary in franchising, right? Because you can't tell the franchisees exactly what they can and can't do in some scenarios. But we wanted to have someone come in and do a training to show them the power of it and also give them some of those like things to not fall into. Don't fall into thinking that you're going to use AI to do everything that you need to do, but what you can use it for, so you need to do local marketing. Maybe you can use it to get some information about your local market and what does your market, what do the demographics look like? What schools should you be going and talking to? What businesses should you be going and talking to? And use that information to save yourself the legwork of having to go and do it.
Yeah, that's great. And I think the combination, like the key piece that I see for AI and training is the home office can be systematizing how it's infused into doing everything better. And then there's an educational piece for franchisees. Like you need to at least know the general nomenclature. Like you don't need to know what's happening with every algorithm change ever, but you like LLM, know what that is.
Right.
Why it matters. Like the search behavior is changing. People are finding some info here. Like the general kind of baseline nomenclature and education, and then specifics into here's the tools that we have to take advantage of solving your problem. So yeah. I think there's so many facets to it, but it's so fun. It's like such a fun time.
And I also think that it's important for us to continue to tell them not only like the basics that they need to know, but then also peel back the curtain a little bit. To your point, they don't need to know every algorithm and all of that, which we don't even know that, obviously.
Yeah,
but like,
true.
What I wish we did. I was just having a conversation about that before this. But showing them the things that we're doing and just like explaining that we're doing, there's more happening behind the scenes so that they don't think that they're hearing, because we're all hearing about the things that are happening. They're seeing it on the news in the morning too, or whatever, or seeing it on as they're scrolling through Instagram. So making sure that they know that there's stuff we're doing behind the scenes that we don't always necessarily share because they don't need to know, to your point, but want them to know and understand what our team is doing and that we're doing that to help them long term. So to your point, if people are searching on AI platforms instead of using Google, or when they're searching on Google, they're only reading that AI summary now. They're not going to the pages. So what we're doing on the back end from an SEO perspective to be in those places, they don't know that. We need to share that, not in specifics, again, because they don't care about the nitty gritty, but just so they know that we're actually paying attention and doing it, because that's our responsibility. Like, it's our responsibility to chase those shiny things and understand them so that they don't have to, because they didn't get into this to figure out how AI is going to impact their SEO. That's not why any of them became an East Coast Wings and Grill franchisee.
Yeah. Yeah. And how are you guys also using it at the home office level? I hear so often from marketers that like their first challenge is just harnessing data to be able to feed AI with any analysis or recommendations. It's like you got to have those clean data sources, which sounds like you guys have your arms around in such a better way than so many brands. So I'm curious how else you guys are thinking about or using it at the home office side.
Yeah, we'll have like custom. So our unit level economics team made a custom GPT for us that loads all of that data in. So then I can go in and ask it questions instead of asking their ULE team. So like for them, it was like, leave me alone so I can do the analysis if you ask me all these questions, but I'll do this so that you can ask this questions instead of asking me, and it'll be an answer that I would have given you. And so I get the answer faster, and then it saves them time from having to answer my question, and so they can do the bigger projects and things like that. So that's a cool thing that we've implemented.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
What else is going on the initiatives front for you guys? What are you doing for the rest of the year focused on? It sounds like there's some new website launches. What else is underway?
Yeah, so we are launching a new website for East Coast Wings and Grill, so that's exciting. That'll be done, I believe, in October, hopefully, if all goes well. Better consumer experience, better ordering and integration. So we're doing a lot of, we have a pretty decent tech stack for the size of company that we are. And so how are they all working together in a better way where they're not having to leave our website to go to our loyalty program, like how we're building that in where it's going to be integrated and it's all going to be on our website. Same with online ordering. That'll stay right in our website. Whereas now when they click on it, they go to our online ordering platform. It's all skinned East Coast Wings and Grill, and normal guests may or may not know, but I want it to all live in one place so that it just keeps it as simple as possible. We're also piloting a video menu. So it's something that's super cool. We're working with a company out of the UK, and we're actually their first US client. And so they came over and filmed every single menu item that we have. So in the back of the house being made, the item itself, interaction with the item. And so every single one of our menu items has a video that accompanies it. So when somebody goes into a location, they can scan a QR code and the video will come to life. And they also have, if there's an AI component where you can talk to the menu and ask it questions. So if you don't know how to order wings, so we have over 50 flavors and 7 heat levels, and people get confused on how they're ordering and whatever, they can ask, how do I order wings? And Coop, our AI assistant, will walk them through how to order wings. Or they can ask, what does the chef recommend? And it'll give some recommendations based on different things that they ask. So we have that built into our website right now, and we're testing it in store.
Wow, that's super cool. Talk about next level of customer experience.
Yeah, it's super fun.
That's awesome. Anything else initiative-wise with the other brands as well?
Yeah, so Sammy's, where we have that new menu launching, so that'll be launching in September. And really that's coming out of trying to just make things more simple. So Sammy Sliders, co-founded by Sam Ballas and Sammy Giannopoulos. Sammy G is a award-winning fine dining chef, like Silver Plate Award winner. It's so the concept, all of the sliders are very chef driven, and the flavor profile of what you're putting with what, because that's where he comes from. We want to make sure that we don't lose that, but we also need to make it simple enough where a franchisee, we don't have franchisees yet, we just started franchising. It needs to be where they can replicate and make it. That's different than Sammy G making it, who Sammy G could take anything and make it amazing. So we're simplifying the menu from an operator perspective, but then also from a consumer and guest perspective. When guests come in, it was a little bit overwhelming of, wait, I picked this kind of slider or that kind of slider, and then it goes with this, and how many fry options do I have? And we just had a lot of options, which can be good, but can also be overwhelming. So we're making it where we're not going to lose the chef-driven portion of it and the flavors and all of that, but make it a little bit simpler for people to order, because we've heard consumer feedback that it is a little complicated. So that's where we're taking our time, making sure that the concept is where that needs to be before we have franchisees, so that we can make those tweaks and the franchisees don't have to make those tweaks once they come on board.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that you're launching a whole new brand into the franchise space. And that's where I wanted to go next is you've been in the M&A world, launching new brands. You've been at so many different types of brands. So I'm curious, when you totally step back, like what are some of the best lessons you've learned throughout your career and kind of advice for marketers in the franchise space or just coming into the franchise space today?
Yeah, so I think launching a new brand is super fun because I've never done, this is the first time that I've been like brand new launching it. I've come into some where they've been launched, but this one we're really launching, and it's awesome because the team that we all have franchise experience, and we all have learned a lot of things along the way. So we're able to build this the right way from the beginning, which a lot of times you can't do, because most of the time when people get into franchising, like I said at the beginning, when I fell into it, like most people fall into it, even founders. Most founders don't start their business thinking, I'm making a franchise concept. They start a business, then realize, oh, I could franchise this, or someone come and ask them if they could franchise it. So it's not set up that way from the beginning. So we have the luxury with Sammy's that we're able to do that, and we're setting everything up from the beginning, which is super fun, also a ton of work. And also it's an emerging brand. So we have a tiny little team that we're doing it all with a tiny little team. So I'm learning how to be a web developer because it's an emerging brand. I don't have $30,000 to go give to somebody to be like, hey, can you make a countdown clock? So I'm going to figure it out. So that's, I think, a fun thing that's happening right now. And I think advice for people is really just don't be afraid to ask questions. Like franchising, you know this, everybody shares everything. People are not afraid to help. People want to help because they all got help too. And so I think when people sit back and think that they don't have all the answers, so they don't want to ask a question and look stupid, like they're just hurting themselves, because nobody has it all figured out. Every brand that I've gone into in my entire career, I'll have worked with a brand that has 200 and some locations. When I come in and you think, oh, they've been around for years, they have everything figured out. And then I go in and they're doing creative requests on a spreadsheet or something where I'm like, wait, why? You know what I mean? Everybody has things that are not where they want them to be. And so asking questions and figuring that out, we're all going to continue to change and evolve, but people will help people in this industry.
Yeah, such a great community, and 100%. I think especially in franchising, you end up, if you're a marketing leader or just C-suite, like you end up being this player coach, which is a really hard skill set to manage, because one time you're having a leadership offsite and you need to stay like really high level. You're working on the business, not in the business. But then 2 hours later, you're working in the business, making website updates. And so I think that balance and shift between all those different types of roles that you have to play in one can be really hard. And that's where, if you need ideas in some of those pockets, like there's people out there that are living that life, have been in those shoes, can help with ideas and ways to make it manageable for sure. I know we're coming up on time, but one question I also love to ask is if there's anything that we didn't touch on that you wish we would have.
That's a tough one. I don't know. I feel like we touched on a lot.
Yeah, not that there has to be, but I want to give the opportunity.
I don't think so. I think we touched on most things. I think it's just, there's a lot going on in the world of marketing, and which there always is. Like that's what makes marketing so great. There's always something new, but it's also what makes it terrible, because there's always something new, and you can't just know the answers to the questions. You got to figure it out, and the answer is going to change tomorrow. So I think that's something that, to your point of being a player coach, like you have that where you're a player coach, and then also, especially when you're sitting on the marketing side where things change so quickly, you also have to be that like student at the same time to learn all of that stuff. And so the balancing of those three things, I think, is a lot, but it's what makes it fun and keeps it interesting.
Yeah, 100%. I think I saw a quote the other day that compared the life of a marketer and how you just always have to reinvent yourself compared to like plumber or something. And it's just such wildly different worlds when, just like you said, it's like got to be a student and be learning, but at the same time, don't forget about the foundations, because like so many people aren't even doing the foundations correctly too. So there is that fine balance. It's like when TikTok came, it was like the big thing. It's, oh, we got to be on TikTok. And it's okay, your search ad sucks right now. And like, you can't even capture like when people are literally looking for you. So let's not worry about TikTok right now. Let's worry about your like presence on where most people are. Some of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Ashley, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Love everything that you're doing. And thanks so much for coming on, and for everyone who listened in to another episode of The Art of Franchise Marketing.
Thanks, Erin.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by NetCertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netcertive.com.